Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to more Fate Grand Order, Lostbelt 3. So, last time we found out, well, it was implied at the very end, that Akuta Hinako, our lovely crypter, actually knew proper human history's Zhang Yu. Now, this I knew about, it is one of the things I did know about already, but yeah, let's keep going, see how that plays out. Huh, sounds like you had quite the evening. Oh yeah, also Lenling tried to assassinate us. Peculiar though this may be, it does present another piece of the puzzle. Unfortunately, it does nothing to make the larger picture any easier to see. We know that the Crypter's first priority is defending their Tree of Emptiness, and yet Akuta has not told this Lostbelt's king of the tree's importance. Furthermore, she moved to eliminate us entirely on her own discretion, only to end up swearing allegiance to Qin Huang the instant Zhang Yu's life was threatened. I was taken aback to see Akuta acting so aggressively when we first came to this Lostbelt. But seeing her so scared and flustered was just painful more than it was surprising. I guess I really didn't know anything about her back when we were both at Chaldea. Yes, about who she was at Chaldea. Holmes and I did a little poking around in the data we managed to back up from the server, and her entire background reeks of falsified records. Yep. Indeed, I had to practically hold my nose as we picked apart her disguise. Disguise? Even though she was a member of Chaldea's staff? Let's see. Imagine her profile is like a painting that's been thoroughly, methodically airbrushed to erase any trace of the original painter. Correct. There was not a single errant brushstroke, so to speak, to be found anywhere. Anyone who has lived an ordinary life will inevitably leave behind a bit of useless information about him or herself along the way. And yet, there was nothing of the sort to be found in Akuta Hinako's data. It was as though her entire life story was designed to pull the wool over someone's eyes. You mean like a perfect alibi? Precisely. That is just the sort of interjection I was looking for, my dear Watson. So the fact that nothing in her personal information is strange also means that nothing in it is real? Yep. There's basically nothing even remotely human about her entire background. And even that's not the only obviously suspicious thing we ran across. According to her profile, Marisbury Animosphere brought her to Chaldea, supervised her aptitude test, and oversaw her periodic health exams and interviews personally. It seems every bit of data about her was submitted with his authorization codes, no one else's. The first director? So did he know? Just the fact that he handled it all alone is one hell of a red flag for security. It'd be easy for him to falsify any data he wanted, considering his position. He knew. He fucking knew! Be that as it may, if Chaldea's original director was the one who manipulated her profile, yeah, if a guy that high up in the food chain had something he wanted to keep secret about her, we're pretty much SOL. How did Akuta end up at Chaldea in the first place? Did she actually have enough race shift aptitude to be chosen for Team A? For that matter, who the hell is she, really? At this point, I don't know what to believe. Indeed, everything we thought we knew about Akuta Hinako's personal information is suspect at best. So it wouldn't really be a stretch to imagine she might have a different goal from the other cryptors. Obviously not. What's more, this goal is evidently more important to her than protecting her Lostbelt or preserving her relationship with its king. One might think eliminating us would be her first priority, but as we've seen, even that is secondary compared to her concern for Zhang Yu, another figure about whom we know next to nothing. It looks like that name only means anything to those of us from proper human history. In this Lostbelt, he appears to go by something else. I think he was called Kuaiji Zero. Kuaiji. Well, a quick database search suggests that area has some significance for Zhang Yu. It's where his uncle, Zhang Liang, started his revolution against the Qin Empire after the emperor died. You could say it's where Zhang Yu began his career as a warrior. Regardless of who Zhang Yu may be in this world, the fact remains that he belongs to this Lostbelt. So I cannot fathom why Akata Hinako, who, though nothing else we know about her is certain, comes from proper human history, would care so deeply about him as to abandon her other goals. That one's pretty straightforward. She must have fallen in love with him at first sight. You have no idea how right you are, Gordy. The more foolish the woman, the more likely she is to chuck everything away for such silly notions. Careful, Gordy. You're gonna lose any goodwill you may have built up with your female staff. The only woman here is MASH. Let's not say that. Well, I was certainly disappointed by what you said. Yes, really. Now, do try to stay on topic. We still have a mountain of problems that need solving. Oh, right, we still need to talk to the people who are going to be less than pleased about this. Even if it is only temporary, I can't believe I have to pretend to make nice with that emperor. Just the thought makes me sick. Yeah, that sounds about right. Negotiate? Out of the question. That tactic plays right into the oppressor's hands. Do not be fooled, detective. They will tell you whatever the weak wish to hear and pressure you into swearing allegiance with only the pretense of your consent at best. Given the urgency of Mr. Cursor and Gordolf's condition, I'm afraid we have no alternative. At a minimum, I would like to maintain our truce with Qin Shi Huang until Koyanskaya is securely in our custody. If we could prolong it until Akata Hinako is out of the picture, so much the better. Whatever her reasons for doing so may be, Akata Hinako remains firmly determined to eradicate us. So much so that she tried to assassinate Mr. Cursor in the dead of night against Qin Shi Huang's wishes. Obviously, Akata and Qin Shi Huang aren't exactly BFFs at the moment. But we can't be sure that will last, since there's still a lot we don't know about their relationship. There's every possibility that she may yet convince Qin Shi Huang to take her side in all of this. What about defeating Qin Shi Huang and cutting down the Tree of Emptiness before Music and Master can fall victim to this accursed poison? Should that not be our first priority? Listen closely, Spartacus. At the moment, making an enemy out of all the Empire will lead only to disaster. Right now, Koyanskaya is a wild card who could wreak havoc no matter where she is or whose side she is on. If we don't have an antidote ready to go by the time we face off with Qin Shi Huang, it will be over before it begins. All the Emperor would have to do is kill Koyanskaya, and Mr. Cursor would be saddled with the poison's deleterious effects for the rest of his life. Let's not forget that my own life would be tragically shortened. Yes, ultimately, we need to destroy the Tree of Heaven Tree of Emptiness. Why did I say heaven? And erase this Lostbelt, and to do so, we will inevitably need to face and defeat Qin Huang. So bear in mind that any amicable relations we appear to have now are a strictly temporary state of affairs. So you want us to pretend to be friends until we can attack when the Emperor least expects it, right? Yeah, that's fine. Hell, I used to ask Agrafane for advice with that sort of sneaky shit all the time. Of course it was Agrafane that you asked. I refuse. Acquiescence is the first step to allegiance, and allegiance inevitably leads to subservience. My master must never side with oppression, but always rebel against it. He should rebel against pain, rebel against suffering, and ultimately triumph by rebelling against destiny. Get the goddamn stick out of your ass, would ya? We're playing the long game here, lunkhead. The important part is that we get to destroy the Empire in the end. So why don't you just think of all the rebelling you're gonna get to do later as a prize for all the restraint you gotta show now? I mean, you love repressing your own shit, right? Are you all truly willing to go along with this? When I tried to assassinate the Emperor before, I lost the moment I focused on something other than the killing itself. But I'm not the one leading the attack this time. I get that Cursor has his own way of fighting. I'm sorry, I know it's a lot to ask. Well, there's nothing I can do if you're going to plead at me with that helpless look on your face. I mean, you're just now realizing how hopeless your chances are against Zhang Yu, right? It's getting stuffy in here with so many of us present. I think I'll step out for a bit of fresh air. Huh? Holmes just winked at me, Senpai, and Jing Ke. What's going on? What are you doing, Holmes? What is it, Holmes? Is there something else you wanted to talk to us about? I thought it would be best if Spartacus were absent for this next part. I trust you to retain your cool, Miss Jing Ke, but let me remind you to refrain from raising your voice. As long as we whisper, Qin Huang should be unable to hear us. I've mostly finished my analysis of the benefaction drug, and it's beyond anything I could have imagined. Its psychotropic effects are secondary at most. Its true purpose lies in boosting the immune system, or perhaps I should say enhancing it to an unfathomable degree. And despite its potency, there are almost no negative side effects as long as one condition remains unmet. It is well beyond what modern medical science could achieve. In fact, I doubt even magecraft from proper human history could create a drug so effective. And what is this one condition? It is something that could only be made here in a Lostbelt where pharmaceuticals and biochemistry are entirely based on sage arts. What is the one condition? Now I see. So it's mass-produced elixir. And they just hand out something that amazing to every citizen during every major celebration? Indeed, and as a result, illness and disease have been completely eradicated. I doubt any of these people have had so much as a cold since they were born. Then it's a real, actual panacea. Hold on. What's the condition that needs to go unmet for this to work? Yeah, that's... I'm worried. Oh. Yes, that would be old age. Once a person's hormonal secretions have reached a certain level, this drug functions as a lethal anesthetic. I estimate it to be at least several thousand times more potent than pentobarbital, whatever that is. That can't be right. Now I see. I thought it was strange that we hadn't seen a single elderly person here. This is no unintended side effect. It's quite clear that the medicine was designed to work this way. Designed? Then it really is poisoning everyone who takes it? So when someone's body secretes a certain amount of hormones, in other words, once their body has aged to a certain point, they just die? Correct. From our perspective, distributing a drug like this is no better than mass murder. Still, a case can be made from a Buddhist perspective and how it views the four inevitabilities of human life, namely birth, aging, disease, and death. If one considered both old age and illness equally undesirable, one could say this medicine protects you from the pain of the former and the latter at once. I cannot say if every world, under all possible conditions, would eventually arrive at these ethics of pharmaceutical science, but the wheat grown here has been extensively genetically modified into something extraordinary. Its resistance to disease, its yield, everything about it stands leagues above its natural counterpart in proper human history. With a crop like this, one could live their entire life without ever knowing hunger. And if you never had to worry about food, you'd probably never think to take it from someone else. There is no economy here, no division between rich and poor exists, and we have all seen for ourselves how ignorant they are of war and violence. It seems that life here is as far removed from the suffering that one might expect in our world as it is impossible to imagine. And when their life has run its course, this drug puts them to sleep permanently, well before they can begin to feel the pain of old age. I dare say that, if nothing else, this world has done a frighteningly effective job at removing pain and suffering from people's lives. But that's no way for people to live. They're practically being kept as livestock. So this is how Qin Shi Huang, how that dictator decided to solve humanity's suffering. Makes sense. No way a leader who abandoned their own humanity would in turn treat their subjects like people. I have very mixed feelings about this. It's something people should know about and decide for themselves, not something they should have thrust onto them unknowingly. As far as making a decision between this Lostbelt and proper human history, Spartacus claimed that we should fight to determine which should be allowed to survive. If hearing that gave you pause, I would urge you to give the matter more thought, keeping what you now know about this benefaction in mind. In this world, the definition of a happy human life is exceedingly simple. It's really complicated. Seeing as you will need to make this choice sooner or later, I think it best I suspend my usual behavior in favor of full disclosure. Allow me to share with you some speculation. Do keep in mind that this is not a deduction, but rather a bit of conjecture on my part. Holmes. This relates solely to one question, namely, why did the spirit origin graph fail to work in this Lostbelt's ley line? You think it has something to do with this medicine? That may not be directly related, but it does support my current hypothesis. Heroic spirits have always been one side of a Leia, mankind's collective unconscious. They are defined foremost by their purpose, protecting humanity. While there may be many different methods and conditions involved in summoning servants, the one thing they all have in common, without exception, is responding to the summoner's prayer. However, if there was not a single person in the world who had the emphatic need to pray for something, and if such a world had flourished unabated for hundreds of years, right, then it wouldn't be at all surprising if that world lost its connection to the Throne of Heroes entirely. For that matter, there wouldn't even be any heroic spirits in that world, just like there aren't here. After all, every hero who might be needed to fight someday, like Qin Liangyu, is still alive. So, this Lostbelt is a world that has no need for heroic spirits at all? Can you imagine a person wishing fervently for anything in a world free from hunger, pain, and suffering, Miss Kyrie Light? I know I certainly cannot. Indeed, it only makes sense that servants would never appear in a world where no one wishes for anything. Thanks for telling us this, Holmes. Whatever doubts I might have had are gone now. I will do everything in my power to take Qin Shi Huang down and put an end to this disgusting regime. As long as I get there in the end, I don't care how far out of our way we have to go. So right now, let's focus on curing Cursor. Now that I know where I'm going, I can wait as long as it takes. Thank you, Jing Ke. It's not black and white. It's... I don't know. I have a lot of feelings. And I'm not quite sure how to express them. I wouldn't necessarily say Qin Shi Huang is doing anything... Well, no, they are doing things wrong. But, like... I get where they're coming from. And... You know, they're trying to do a good thing. It's just... It's the not letting people know what's going on. The not letting them opt in or opt out. The forcing it on everyone without telling them. That's the part that's wrong. Anyways. Progress report? We should finish a complete scan of the vehicle's interior by morning. Good. Be careful not to overlook anything. Remember, the future of the Empire rests on your shoulders. Yes, ma'am. I'll go see how things are outside. The Shadow Border. The product of a world entirely different from ours, huh? Because the moon does not know how to drink, my shadow merely follows the movement of my body. The moon has brought the shadow to keep me company a while. The practice of mirth should keep pace with spring. What was that, young man? Oh no. Oh, that's called a poem. A guy named Li Bai wrote it a long time ago. Who taught you that? Oh no, oh no. Well, oh no. We see Qin Liangyu's investigation is progressing smoothly. It feels good to have so much data moving among our circuits. Do you think you will be able to analyze that otherworldly device, Your Imperial Majesty? Who do you think we are? This holy vessel's full calculation capabilities can easily handle a single vehicle. Or so we thought. This is amazing. How could they fit so much functionality into these dimensions? It's hard to believe what we are seeing. Forgive the intrusion, Your Imperial Majesty, but there's something you should know. What is this about? The children in this village are reciting poems. You're kidding. When I asked them about it, they said they learned them from Chaldea. We see. Then Chaldea are Confucians. That's how you say that word, right? Confucians? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. This is undoubtedly the work of Confucianism. Bruh, it's poetry. And there's another thing Qin Shi Huang is doing wrong. This bullshit. Okay. Crap, am I gonna be facing Zhang Yu again? Okay, then. Not this team. This one. Let me switch out who I have in here, though. Go with the setup I had before with the limited 0 and a formal craft and a Gunder. Okay. Oh, wait. Morning Star of Rebellion. It's gonna be Spartacus, isn't it? Emergency! Emergency! Spartacus is no longer with us! Yeah, we're gonna be fighting Spartacus. I see. What? That's not all. A number of villagers have gone missing as well. The ones who remain said they saw Spartacus leading villagers toward the capital. Fuck. Ugh. If the Emperor sees that, he'll think we're leading a rebellion. What is wrong with that muscle-bound moron? How could he do this? Hey, berserkers ain't exactly much for thinking or planning. Sparty's just being true to himself. Hell, he couldn't change who he is even if he wanted to. Do something, Cursor! Didn't your records mention him obeying that Roman? If he can listen to her, he can listen to you. That was between Nero and Spartacus, not me. What's with that knowing look? Are those command spells of yours just... Are those command seals of yours just fancy tattoos? Go on and use one already, you fool! This may be the moment of truth, Mr. Cursor. Forming a contract with an unruly berserker inevitably means using command seals to keep them in check. You may not care for that idea, but it is something you will need to come to terms with sooner or later. It is frankly miraculous that you've come so far without ever having to force your servants to obey. I would like nothing more than to respect your wishes, but I'm afraid that... Hold up. Mordred. You're not going to make Sparty toe the line just by forcing him to stop with a command seal. All that'll do is just root him in place. So, please, Master, whatever you do, don't use the command seal on him. If you do, he might end up forgetting his whole reason for leaving the throne to come here and help. Can you let me handle him, Master? I'm sure I can convince him to stop. How might that be? How'd you think? By beating the ever-living shit out of him. You see, it's his legs and stuff that's keeping him going. As long as those are telling him to fight, he's not going to stop for anything. So, if we just hit him so hard that his knees give out, then I'll get through his thick skull, knees, that the battle's over. Are you quite certain that would be better than a command seal? Positive. I give you the Mordred guarantee. I confess that even I cannot see the logic here. What do you think, Mr. Cursor? This is ultimately your decision to make. Yeah, no, I don't want to use a command seal. Counting on you, Mo. Hell yeah! Don't worry, I've got this. I'll go with you. I think I may be partly to blame for the villagers' decision to join him. Are you sure, Miss Jing Ke? Wouldn't you rather be there leading the way with him? Truthfully, yes. I honestly kind of envy him getting to materialize as a berserker. Because he can throw caution to the wind and do whatever he feels like in a given moment? Nope, because even though he's a berserker, he's got such a good master. As a heroic spirit myself, I can't help but feel a little jealous of that. Naja, hold down the fort. The borders are lifeline here, so make sure you don't let the recording cut off. Ugh, I hate when that happens. I don't know why that happens. Anyways, the borders are lifeline here, so make sure you don't let anything happen to it. Leave it to me. I await your return. Okay, everyone, let's go bring Spartacus and the villagers back. And then it swipes to the villagers and Spartacus. Hey, Spartacus, are you sure about this? I thought we weren't supposed to leave our village's fields. Yes, I'm sure. No system, no ethics, no laws can ever stop one from walking about freely. One's path always lies ahead of wherever your own 2 feet take you. I don't know. We were taught that Heavenly Emperor gave us those fields as a gift of love. If the authorities wish to call their oppression love, then it is only right to return their love in the form of rebellion. I don't think I understand. No matter, you will come to understand as we continue our walk. Now to the oppressor's capital. The capital where Heavenly Emperor lives, huh? Come to think of it, I heard it's got something called art. Art. Is that anything like those poems Jing Ke has been sharing with us? I want to hear lots more poems, and I want to see what the capital looks like, too. Well said. Then let us be on our way, singing songs of liberation all the while. Hold it, hold it! Did you really think we were gonna let you do this, you freaking dumbass? Don't you think it was a touch rude to just wander off without so much as a goodbye? If it is the antidote for Cursor that concerns you, rest assured I will bring it back after seeing those responsible brought to justice. If you doubt that I am doing the right thing, then merely sit and await my return. I must give this Qin Shi Huang oppressor the firm embrace he deserves. I already know the Emperor is at Zhenyang. All that remains now is to continue onward until I reach this great oppressor. Please stop this, Spartacus. I can understand why you have doubts, Master Cursor. After all, you have yet to attain real strength for yourself. All the more reason why I must go, to show by example what true justice is. As such, I will not hesitate to crush anything that stands in my way, with true rebellious love. Yep, I knew it. He ain't gonna listen to a word we say. Yep, time for my genius plan. If he won't listen to reason, we'll just have to beat it into him. Come on, Spartacus, let's you and me hash things out. Okay then. Let's do that. How far down am I going to need to get him, I wonder? Yeah, you know, whenever Spartacus is involved, it's going to be a hassle. He's not exactly, you know, someone who is good for this kind of thing. He's bound to go off the rails. Okay. Well, hello, Ella. I don't know if you can hear my cat yelling at me. What is she whining for? What are you whining for, Ella? Really? Since it's during a fight, I'm not going to be able to edit that out. So, you get to hear my cat. She wants attention. Okay. So I really gotta beat him all the way, huh? Yeah. And there goes Merlin. Hey, BB. Well, hi, Ella. She just jumped up on my desk. Hi. Okay then. Well, he's pretty close to down, so that's fine. What? Really? There we go. Stop it! Ella! Okay, I need to deal with the cat, so I'm gonna end this episode here. If you... Yeah. You know, if you've enjoyed my videos, give them a like, subscribe, tell your friends about my channel, etc. I'll see you next time.